In the years that you've been at the particular gym that you're training at, you'll see the same people often get no results or look the same, even over a span of 10 years. The people that trained more frequently, shorter sessions, with more activity in between the sessions or during the day, those people got far greater results. And I often get asked, why not even chest on the Monday? When the chest is sore, it's very, very difficult to do a solid chest session and then do something after it if you're sore. There are 3 different fibers in the body. There are slow twitch, medium twitch, and fast twitch. If you don't train those fibers in a different fashion, in a different manner, every single week, you will not see your full potential, and I'm convinced of that. Welcome to the Diet Doctor podcast, where we discuss the science of nutrition and high performance, offering practical tools for everyday life. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to another episode of Diet Doctor podcast. And today I want to address the topic of training. Now, it's a very, very broad topic, so we're only going to focus on some touch points that'll help hopefully guide you in the gym and help answer some questions that may be going through your mind as with regards to whether you're going to the gym to achieve a certain goal, whether you've achieved your goal and you're just trying to maintain. What are the different training ideologies that exist? Should I lift heavy? Should I lift light? Should I avoid weights and just do cardio? More so towards training for aesthetics and for health. So I'm talking and I'm focusing specifically about training in the gym, whether you're an athlete or not. Now, first and foremost, the frequency, the training frequency. How much do you need to train to achieve set results? Now, if you are looking to achieve a certain goal, so basically when you look in the mirror, you're not where you want to be. You have a body composition that doesn't favor muscle over fat the way you would like it to be, and you want to make some serious progress. A lot of people say, I've only got 2 to 3 days a week, but when I go into the gym, I do, a ton of work and I train for 2 hours straight. It's not as effective as training in smaller increments throughout the entire duration of the week. So for example, if you were to do 2 large sessions or 3 large sessions that are 2 hours long, it's not as healthy for you, nor is it as sustainable, nor is it good for recovery, nor are you going to achieve your results as efficiently as if you were to disperse those 6 hours a week over, say, 6 1-hour sessions, or even 6 45-minute sessions, or 5 45-minute sessions. Now, you can structure the week as in 2 on, 1 off. You can do 3 on, 1 off, or you can do 5 days consecutive and take 1 day off. Now, if you've achieved your goal and you are just looking to maintain, then when it comes to gym frequency or visits to the gym, if that seems to be a little bit difficult for you because of your lifestyle, then 2 to 3 times a week, I would lean more towards 3, would suffice, provided on the other days you are also doing some sort of exercise or physical activity. There's something called NEAT, non-energy activity total, and being a researcher, I look at the results based on different types of studies, different groups of people that train different, training using different ideologies and methodologies. Now, the people that trained more frequently, shorter sessions with more activity in between the sessions or during the day, those people got far greater results. There are many people, and I'm sure that we've all come across them, in the years that you've been at the particular gym that you're training at, you'll see the same people often, not always, but often you'll see the same people get no results or look the same and not change much, even over a span of 10 years. Usually the case is that person is coming to the gym, and I'm not saying they're not training hard, but they might be giving it their all. But what they are doing is they are ticking off the box of training, and they're not saying to themselves, am I expending enough energy throughout the rest of the 24 hours of the day, or negate the 8 hours of sleep, whereby I can achieve the results that I aspire to achieve? Non-energy activity total is the type of calories that you burn or the type of energy that is expended outside of the gym session. So for example, If I was to train 2 hours with really, really, severe intensity and the workout ticks all the boxes. However, the rest of the day, I'm sitting in front of a computer and I'm not really moving about much. I'm not finding a reason to move about much. I'm parking my car as close to my destination as possible. I'm taking the lift or the escalators instead of the stairs. And I'm doing these sort of things. The results are not going to be the same as an individual who does the very same workout that you do. However, they intentionally park a little bit further than their destination. I use this method when it comes to summer. It's a nightmare to find parking at the beach in summer. So I intentionally, just to avoid the angst and anxiety of trying to find parking, I park quite far from the beach, sometimes up to a 30 to 40 minute walk. And that allows me to expend energy, get a little bit of cardio in, good for cardiovascular health, good for staying lean, but also it gets the amount of activity that I get per day increases, and it's done in almost a nonchalant manner. So it's not really stressful. You don't have to think about it too much. And the same as taking the stairs over the escalator. I've been traveling interstate quite a bit for the last couple of weeks. And even though you get off the plane and you're really tired and you're carrying on baggage and whatnot, you come up to the escalator and your brain's saying, just jump on the travelator or jump on the escalator or take the lift. However, I'll intentionally force myself to take the stairs because I know that every step, every little bit of energy that's expended is going to be long-term what I'm after. It might be an extra 100 calories that you expend per day. However, over a week, that's 700 calories, and it makes a profound difference. Sensei Neil Hill, shout out to Yoda, one of the guys out there that really knows what he's talking about. He touches on some of these things, and he also touches on some of the training methodologies that I use, that I have learned from him, and we go back and forth about training and nutrition all the time, and he's a brilliant mind. So some of the things I'll be sharing with you, some of the things that we both implement, he uses with his high caliber athletes. He trains athletes of the highest caliber, many Olympia wins, and been involved in that realm at the highest level. Now, we've looked at training frequency and what you should be doing outside of the actual workout within the gym. Now, if you are training, I'll go through my training split, by the way. It's a 5-day split, and it always starts with shoulders, followed by an arm session the following day. Give the upper body a break, do a leg session, followed by a back session, and then a chest session last. And sometimes I'll go in for another leg session. I like to do a posterior chain, so hammies, glutes session, because these are the sort of muscles that I need for jiu-jitsu. Now, it might sound like a lot, but after a certain amount of time, you adapt and you do it not just for your physical well-being, but also for your cognitive well-being. Now, if you look at the structure very carefully, it's not an arrangement of body parts that's put together randomly. There's nothing random about it. The reason why shoulders is at the beginning is that it doesn't inhibit my ability to then train any other body part. So that's why I put it first. If you've got DOMs from shoulders, it's not going to really stop me from doing anything else in the gym. Then after that, I do an arm session. After a shoulder session and a solid arm session the following day, say Monday and Tuesday, your upper body is quite sore. So I like to take a break, hit a lower body session. Usually, if I'm splitting the lower body into 2 groups, I'll do quads on their own or a quad-focused lower body workout. Then I'll go back to doing back and then chest. And I often get asked, why not the other way around? Why not chest first and then back? Or why not even chest on the Monday, like International Chest Day that everyone does chest on a Monday? Other than the equipment not being available, when you do chest, you are heavily inhibiting your ability to train any other body part. When the chest is sore, it's not that the chest is the least important, so I put it on a Friday, or do I think it's the most important, so I put it on a Monday. It's very, very difficult to do a solid chest session and then do something after it if you're sore. If your chest is sore, every time you lift your arm up, you get chest pain. Every time you try and do a bicep curl, you're going to feel it in your chest. You try and do a tricep push down. If your chest is sore, your chest will tense up, and it's really, really painful. So it tends to interfere with almost everything that you do. So the structure that I have is like that for a reason. And then after the chest session, I'll go into a leg session. Now, one may ask, what if I'm not training 5 days a week? What if I'm doing 4 days a week? In that case, I would recommend that there's no set split that is correct, and there's no right or wrong. You got to see what works for you and see what keeps you sore for longer and what inhibits you from doing a workout the following day. For example, if I was to do a 4-day split, I would do shoulders potentially on their own. I would do legs on its own. I would do chest with either tries or bis, and back with either tries or bis. Now, the reason why I say tries or bis is sometimes when your weakness is arms and you've done a big back session, the secondary muscle involved in back, all the pulling and rowing that you're doing, is the biceps. And if your biceps are one of your weaknesses or it's a lagging body part, your ability to do bis after a back workout is, not even 50% at best. So it would be wiser to do something that wasn't an antagonist in that session and do a little bit of triceps, maybe 3 exercises, 3 sets each. That should suffice. However, if you are not inhibited in terms of bicep fatigue, then you could go from a back workout and you would only need 2 or 3 exercises, even 2 to 3 sets each would suffice for finishing off a bicep workout, because the bulk of your biceps would have been trained during the back session. On the flip side, chest. A lot of people say to me, when I train chest, I feel it more in my triceps than my chest. The first thing I'd say is your form correct? Because if your form is correct, you should be feeling it first and foremost in the chest. However, if you're pressing and you've got your trainer with you and your back is arched and your form is textbook, yet you're still feeling it in your triceps, it does not necessarily mean that you're doing something wrong. It may mean that your triceps are a lagging body part, and that's why you're feeling it there. When you're doing back, you might feel it in your bis and forearms because they haven't caught up to the strength of your back. So if you do a chest session and your triceps are completely fatigued afterwards, I wouldn't train tris. I would do chest with bis, and I would do back with triceps. The opposite of what you would think you would do. Now, what matters most, and this is the research that's coming out lately, is not what body parts you combine, but rather the volume that you commit to and you are able to pull off on a weekly basis. So what that means is that if you have 9 sets of tricep exercises that you aim to do that week, it does not matter so much where you position those 9 sets within the week, but what matters more is that you get it done. And that's where the progress comes from. It's the continuity of repetition and doing the same thing even when you don't want to. Now, I want to delve a little bit deeper into the ideology that I like to use in the gym, and this is the ideology that Neil teaches through his Y3T type of training, where you're training the 3 types of fibers. There was a time where we used to think that there was only one type of fiber to train, or 2 types of fibers to train, the slow twitch and the fast twitch. So you would say, okay, the sprinter versus the marathon runner was the common ideology that was used quite often. Now, since then, the research has shown that there are 3 different fibers in the body. There are slow twitch, medium twitch, and fast twitch. If you don't train those fibers in a different fashion, in a different manner, every single week, or in an alternating fashion, in a cyclical fashion, over 3 weeks, you will not see your full potential, and I'm convinced of that. There are often people that train a certain way, and I'm not saying that it's wrong to train with light weights every week or to do 5 to 8 reps and go heavier every week. However, the benefits and the perks of not doing that are profound. And I'll go into the science with you, the theory behind it. When it comes to fiber type training or Y3T type training or fast, medium, slow twitch fibers, first thing you have to understand is what are they? The fast twitch fiber is the part of the muscle, and every muscle has all types of fibers. There'll just be a dominant fiber over another. For example, the bicep makeup might be predominantly slow, fast twitch, whereas the triceps might be predominantly fast twitch. Or one might be predominantly fast twitch, one might be predominantly slow. And when I say fast twitch fiber, that means to train that fiber, you would go heavy with slow negatives and less reps. And the slow twitch fiber, you would go lighter with high reps. It's the opposite. A lot of people think that slow twitch fiber means going slow, heavy weight, low reps. No, it's the opposite. So fast twitch fiber is heavier weight, slow negatives, low repetitions, and the slow twitch fiber is higher repetitions, a speedier type of rep tempo with lighter weight. So if we're doing fast, medium, and slow in a cyclical fashion, we will do slow twitch 1 week, medium twitch, and then fast twitch. The reason for that, well, there are many reasons. There's an array of reasons. If you were to train just lightweight, high reps all the time, or just moderate weight, medium twitch type of training all the time, or just heavy all the time, you may see results, and you will see results because it's consistency that matters. However, are you seeing your full potential? Are you seeing what you are capable of achieving? And often the answer is no. Even though you can have somebody with a great physique, but if they train with one particular type of methodology the entire time, it's very difficult to achieve your potential. Even a bodybuilder or a physique athlete preparing for a contest will do things in phases. Will have a bulking phase where they train slightly different to the phase that they are as they're tapering towards the competition. If you train that way or use that methodology all year round, whether you are competing or not, the benefits are profound. But you have to understand the science behind each type of fiber and how to train that fiber. And the reason why we don't go heavy every week is because going heavy every week taxes the central nervous system, compromises the immune system. You feel like your body is not having a break. You start to run into problems such as fatigue, chronic fatigue, and injuries, and basically you just hit a wall, and sometimes you just don't even want to go into the gym because it's repetitive and it's the same thing, and the soreness becomes overwhelming. So giving the heavy weight a break, it gives your central nervous system a break, where we focus on targeting the muscle itself rather than the entire central nervous system and the skeletal structure, and instead focusing on just getting as much blood into that muscle as possible. I'll go through the different fiber types and the different scientific requirements that exist in order for you to be able to train that fiber. So if I'm doing a fast twitch week, which is heavy, heavier weight, slower repetitions, and less repetitions, say within the 5 to 8 rep range, that particular week requires a rep tempo that suits that particular fiber. So the rep tempo for heavy weight, which is the fast twitch fiber, would be, for instance, it might be 227. When I say a rep tempo of 227, if I'm speaking like that, or saying the rep tempo, and I'm using certain numbers, that means the counts, not seconds, because seconds are different to counts, that you are taking on the positive portion of the movement, which is the concentric portion of the repetition. The second number is the number of counts for the isometric pause or the squeeze. And then the third number is for the eccentric, or what's known as the negative portion of the repetition. I'll give you a very easy example, which is the bicep curl. So if I'm curling with a bar, this part of the repetition, the positive, is called concentric. If I pause here, not here where I'm resting, but I pause under tension, say 3/4 of the way up, that's called the isometric squeeze. Then the way down, that negative, is called the eccentric. So if I've got a rep tempo on that for that particular fiber, I'll say 227, which is a common number that I'll use for that particular week. That means 2 counts on the way up. 2 counts are faster than 2 seconds. So it's not 1001, 1002, but rather 1, 2, 1, 2, pause, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Very slow, sometimes boring, but it is very, very effective. And the amount of DOMs that you get is quite serious. So we did that last week, and some of the guys that I train with are still recovering till now. It's not an ideal way to train using that particular fiber or hitting that fiber often if you are an athlete that does rugby league or you do MMA or you're a swimmer, because you don't want to be, you're going to the gym to complement whatever your sport is. If you're a soccer athlete, then the type of training that you do has to complement soccer or complement boxing or complement swimming. If you train that way and you're in a state of DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, all the time, your ability to perform in the realm of sport that you are competing in or that you are interested in most is going to be compromised. Your ability to train for swimming, to do your rugby practice, to do your jiu-jitsu sessions may be compromised. So that may not be the most ideal way to train for you. I'm talking about training for aesthetics and the person who's just a gym goer and doesn't do really much else with regards to sports other than cardio and weights, like most people. Now, that rep tempo and that fiber, ideally, you would do single sets. So you wouldn't do supersets where you combine 2 exercises together, or giant sets where you combine 3 or 4 exercises together and then do them in one after the other without any rest. You would do one set and you would rest, say, from 60 to 90 seconds and then do another set. And the set itself, when you're going at that speed, is quite slow and takes quite a while. It's a great way to create hypertrophy. Hypertrophy is when the muscle fiber expands. Muscle fibers can expand and shrink. But one of the major reasons why we like to train in a cyclical fashion is research shows that when you do so, not only do you get hypertrophy, but you get also what's called hyperplasia. Hyperplasia is when one fiber becomes 2 and 2 fibers cannot go back to 1. And previously, we used to think that only taking substances like growth hormone can do this. But training, if intense enough, can, and science shows this, create an environment of hyperplasia within the muscle itself. So that's the fast twitch methodology. And we would do that for an entire week. Then there'll be an entire week of what's called medium twitch training, which is relatively new. Medium twitch training is something that is relatively new. We didn't really know about the medium twitch fiber until only in the last, several years. Now, to train medium twitch, often what we'll do in that week is I'll ask the boys that I'm training or the guys that I'm training to combine 2 exercises at a time and do supersets. And the rep range that they work within is usually within the 12 to 16 rep range. So that's the rep range that's required for that type of fiber. The weight will be relative. There's no, like, what's heavy? Heavy is relative. The word heavy could be 100 kilos for you and it could mean 50 kilos for me. The word heavy is relative. You know how much the weight is on the bar. You know how much the dumbbell weighs, but your body doesn't. Your body responds to stress. If you expose it to stress, it will respond accordingly by, again, creating an environment of hypertrophy or hyperplasia to be able to have the coping mechanisms to deal with that stress again. So the medium twitch fiber will be in the approximately 10 to 14 or 12 to 16 rep range, whereby, it is very difficult to hit that rep range. And when I say 12 to 16, a lot of people ask, okay, well, when do I go up in weight or drop the weight? How do I know? What is the gauge? The gauge really is the amount of repetitions that you're able to get without stopping more than once. You're allowed to do what's called a rest pause to execute the entire set. What that means is if I do 10 repetitions and the quota is 12 to 16, and I'm not able to do the last 2, I'm allowed to stop, take 1 or 2 deep breaths, very briefly. 1 or 2 deep breaths shouldn't take long. No, I'm not talking about a 30-second break. 1 or 2 deep breaths, grab the weight again and do the last 2 reps. That's okay. The weight is still within reason. Now, if you cannot get to the lower end of the range between 12 and 16, let's say you cannot hit 12 reps without stopping more than once. You have to stop twice to get 12 reps. Then that weight is too heavy. You need to lighten the weight. On the flip side, if you look at the upper end of the spectrum, which is the 16 rep range, if the outlier that you're coming up with, if you're able to do 20 reps instead of 16 with that weight, then it's too light. If you're able to do 19, too light. 18, too light. Anything between plus or minus, I'd say 2 reps, you'd have to start to reevaluate the weight that you're using. But rest pause is a great way to meet the rep quota. And the other thing that I love to do as well, towards the end of the workout, not in the beginning because it's quite fatiguing, is partials. So for example, if I aim for 12 reps on the very last set, however, I'm only getting 8, instead of rest pausing, often I've got 4 reps left. I wanted to do 12, but I've only hit 8. Instead of rest pausing and doing another 4 reps, I'll straight away go into not 4 full reps because I can't do them anyway. I'll do 8 partials. So I might do 8 half reps if I'm on a dumbbell press, for example. I might do 8 repetitions with the dumbbell press, and then I wanted to do 12, so I'll do 8 half reps or 8 partials. And volume-wise, that's the same thing, and you've started to hit those deep fibers that are often neglected. Because sometimes when you reach fatigue, I don't like the word failure, you may not be able to bench all the way up, but you're able to get the bar off your chest, for instance, or the dumbbells from here, a few inches up. Now, what that means is that your strength, the fibers that are responsible for this portion of the movement, the first portion of the movement, are far more resilient and tougher than the second portion of the movement. So these fibers are not quite fatigued yet, but these ones are. The ones in the second half of the movement are fatigued. To fatigue the deeper fibers that are responsible for the initiation of the lift, partials are a great way to target that. Now, you would do supersets for medium twitch. So with every fiber, there's the question raised whether you should do single sets, supersets, or giant sets. Then it's the rep range that is relevant to that fiber. Then it is the rep tempo that is relevant to that fiber. And then it's the rest period that is also relevant to that fiber. So there are many variables for each one. It's not just a matter of going high reps, low reps. So medium twitch, I would recommend supersets, 10 to 14 reps or 12 to 16 repetitions. I would recommend the rep tempo, you wouldn't do 227. It'll take you half an hour to do 2 exercises. The rep tempo would be something more like 3-2-2. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Medium twitch, often I would recommend no isometric squeeze, mimicking the rep tempo on the way up and on the way down. I had a friend of mine that was training in front of me today, and I asked him to use a rep tempo of 2-0-2, and that's 1-2, 1-2. However, the speed of the positive repetition did not match the speed of the negative. So I said, I need you to mimic the speed on the way up and on the way down. Mimic it on the way down. It should be so seamless. There should be no jolting, no snatching. It should be so seamless that I should not be able to tell when that repetition is going to transition from positive to negative or negative to positive. That's medium twitch, where the rest period would be anywhere between 90 to 120 seconds. So a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Then we go into the higher repetition stuff, which is the slow twitch fiber. Those reps will vary from 16 all the way to 25 per set. And that's when I will start to combine giant sets. So 3 or more exercises done together before you have a break. The break for that particular fiber, that slow twitch fiber, where you're doing higher reps and lighter weight, the rest period is now from 120 to 180 seconds. So 2 to 3 minutes rest. The rep tempo is, again, roughly about 202, and you are doing 3 exercises, even 4 exercises at a time. Sometimes if the gym is empty, I'll do up to 5 exercises at a time, and I'll do 5 rounds of that and 25 sets. With such high volume is quite intense. As intense as it is, it's a different kind of intensity to hitting the fast twitch fiber, where you're going heavy and doing things really slow and taxing the central nervous system. So although it is intense to do high reps with lighter weight and giant sets, and it feels like you're almost doing strength and conditioning instead of weights, the benefit of it is that you are still stimulating the fibers in your muscle. You're creating hypertrophy, possibly hyperplasia as well, depending on the intensity of your training, but you're giving your central nervous system a break. You're giving that heavy lifting a break. You're reducing the risk of injury. You're reducing the risk of chronic fatigue, and you're able to stay in the gym for longer, or be able to frequent the gym without any breaks or long rest periods. Now, time off is the other thing that I need to mention. And before I go into that, you cannot out-train a bad diet, so nutrition comes first. Now, when you are approaching training in general, you want to make sure that you don't hit a wall. If you're the type that goes into fatigue or you get bored quite quickly, I would highly recommend that every 8 to 12 weeks that you take a full week off where you don't go to the gym. That doesn't mean you sit on the sofa and you binge watch Netflix. You still are active because activity is very important, not just for the way you look, but the way you feel, your cognitive functioning, your mental well-being, your organ health, cardiovascular health, and all the rest of it, preventing diseases. So you still need to exercise, even if it's just a walk. You might decide to do some swimming that week. You might decide to ride a push bike that week. You're doing activity, but it's more like active recovery, and just get away from the gym once every 8 to 12 weeks to give your mind a break. That is the ideology that I like to use in the gym. A lot of it is up on my socials, on my Instagram page. There's a subscription section to the training. There are a couple of free workouts there that you don't have to subscribe to. You can just have a go at and try them. Try the different types of training sessions. Some of them are very, very deceiving. They look quite easy, but they are very, very difficult. And just remember that we are in the gym not just to train our beach muscles or to be able to take your shirt off in summer. It's a very superficial way of looking at training. And I will talk about the superficiality of the fitness industry and how it's probably the most toxic out of all industries in the next episode. However, in summation, this is the training ideology that I like to use. This is the training philosophy that I like to use. 3 weeks, fast, medium, and slow twitch fibers in a cyclical fashion, giving your body a break, giving different physiological systems of the body a break and mechanisms a break, and still being able to achieve results and hitting fibers of the muscle that you didn't even know existed and exposing them to stress and getting results. And at the end of the day, it's about the outcome, but also the journey. You want to be able to do it seamlessly without getting injured. And I find that that is the best way. Thank you very much for listening. I look forward to seeing you again.